Jiggy Jaguar experience. Here is Jiggy Jaguar.
Well, it is the big broadcast. We are live coast to coast at iHeartRadio today. Rebel Ryder was our guest in our last segment, and you can see her interview on JiggyJagTV.com. Lots of things happening, as they say, and I don't know why they're saying it, but they are indeed saying it. So I am going to go to our guest, who is going to join us here in just a few seconds. I will have to say that I have been a big fan of our next guest. Our next guest is going to join us here in a few moments, and I am pleased as punch to to have our guest join us here in just a few seconds. And I just don't even know what to say. This is going to be one of probably the coolest interviews that we've done all weekend. But we will get our guest in here in just a few seconds. We've got live video on our website, JiggyJaguar.com. We also have a live video on KJagRadio.com. That's KJAGRadio.com. And we are going to be, we're also on the Facebook as well. And if you missed our last interview with Rebel Ryder, that is on our website at JiggyJagTV.com. Now, of course, as you know, we put our music interviews on the mic.fun, and we do our porn interviews on JiggyJagTV.com. And I don't even know how I would categorize or set up this next guest that we're going to be having. He is just, if you could see the behind the scenes here of him putting this whole thing together, I'm just blown away by all this. But we did get the live video fixed on Twitch finally. Apparently, when they upgraded Mannycam Studio, it broke Twitch, and apparently now it's fixed Twitch. Or Twitch has fixed itself to Mannycam. I don't know what. But we are going to go to our next guest. He is going to join us live from the Space Couch. I can't even believe this is a real thing. Brian, welcome to the broadcast, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up? Am I audible and all that?
Yes, you are amazing. Just watching you set up because I didn't do any. I didn't normally do what I usually do, which is I bring the guest on and then I do all my shenanigans, because I noticed in the background you were doing all these adjustments, and I just find this fascinating that you've got all these different things going on here. The Space Couch is a hell of a deal. First of all, thanks for putting so much effort into your production, because there are a lot of people that do not put the time and effort that you do into your production. So thank you, sir. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Speaking of production, I'm getting a little bit of a space delay because I'm coming in from another dimension. So
it is Skype, and it happens every once in a while.
And I'm hearing an echo. So if I sound especially silly, that might be why.
You're totally fine. The fact that you're here and you're on the Space Couch and you've got all the things going on in the background, that'll make up for any little thing that you do here today, my friend.
Well, for the great Jiggy Jaguar, I wanted to broadcast from the Nest Glitch dimension, so we made a pit stop over on that flying couch. But thank you. I knew if I was gonna not compete is not the right word, but at least be in the same space.
Yes, something like that.
Static TV. Brought to you by House Arcana, I needed to at least put in some effort. And this isn't a pre-pandemic world. it was a novel concept to do an internet radio show with Skype guests for about 10 to 16 seconds, and then that just sort of became everything. Yeah, it's cool. I do like getting video work in and like sending guest questions beforehand.
Yes.
And things.
Well, and you bring up an excellent point there, being an interviewer. The sending the guests advanced questions.
Okay.
I used to do this. I used to do the research, get the prep ready to go, and I would send them the questions. And then I got burned like 3 times in a row by a guest. I would ask them the question, they would answer it, but they would tell me a story that was fantastic that I didn't know anything about. And then I wouldn't ask them about it because it wasn't the next question on the list. Like, I interviewed a guy one time and I was like, well, how'd you end up, with this record deal? And his answer was supposed to be that, he got signed and blah, 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 and move on down the road, go to the next question. But he starts telling me that, well, he was sitting in a gig one night and Toby Keith walked into the bar and really loved his stuff and then signed him. And I'm like, I want to ask about this Toby Keith thing, but I can't because it's not on the list.
Well, aren't you I don't know how it works for your show, but let me take a step back.
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
Hi, my name's Brian. I do thousands of things. One of them is a show called Space Couch.
Yes.
Mostly where I interview industrial musicians, at least it was at the start, but we've been going for a while now, and it's expanded from that to people I believe that I will find interesting.
Yes.
And it's for no reason broadcast from a couch in space. We used vast amounts of technology, not to establish a colony or search for newer sources of energy. It was to put my divan from my apartment in Boston out into the cosmos to make it especially hard to interview people. For an interview show. So that's what we're talking about. And one of the things I like about that is that I always say I'm on a rogue flight path. It's complete punk rock. I don't know if you're beholden to any rules of your network or anything like that, but there's no rules. I can say or do anything I want. So
pretty much, my attitude has always been, if the stations don't like it, they'll dump out and come back later.
Well, and so I'm bringing it up to be like, if a guest pivots, just as long as we're talking like the interview game,
yes,
like isn't it incumbent on you as the interviewer to then pivot as necessary? And
what's funny is I did that one time and I got yelled at by a label person.
Okay, so you've got some oversight there.
because I asked them a question that wasn't on the list, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Okay, so you've got outside factors. I don't know if my glitch visual.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, there they go. They're on.
There they are. They're on a loop, baby. They're on a loop.
Because that's the Space Couch difference. We're concerned about visuals here on an audio program. I'm crazy, but I need to do that. The whole sending the questions ahead of time because I'm not that good. Meaning like,
well, you've done a good job of fooling me and a bunch of other people.
Thank you. Well, that's just the thing. Like, I have worked for a lot of my life with, and I know I bring him up in every interview, but he's just a big part of my life is Matt Finale of Caustic, who your listeners may know.
Yes.
His improv skills are next level. I don't think he gets enough credit for how his amazing improv comedy, and I love that. That's not in my makeup. Like, I'm more of a sit down kind of plan it out, like the punchline-y kind of guy.
Yes.
Which isn't great for interviews where you have to sort of be on your feet. So I'm now in a hybrid stage where I will get my questions out, feel out of direction, and then if somebody's and it's just gone crazy. Like we've had horrible things, like I wasn't expecting a murder story to be dropped on me, or
wow, holy smokes,
it's right. And then you're like, all right, well, let's
go that route.
Yeah, but let's honor this, like not be lascivious and weird about it. Like it's a real thing. Or the other way, where something crazy happens. Like I asked, tell me about how'd you get started in music, and the guest, Cathode Ray Tube, New England's own, was like, oh yeah, we used to work in the local cool record store, and there was this guy there, kind of a coworker, kind of a shy dude, but he had some music chops. That was Moby. Oh, holy crap, you used to work with Moby? Yeah. And then,
that's awesome.
You kept that to yourself.
That's right.
Showtime. So I'm definitely, and I think the Godsicles, which is kind of my main band,
yes,
is this zany thing, and people do crazy stuff at live shows, and I think that helped certainly. It's this weird. Well, you tell me, like, because I'm not just discovering it, but I think you have more laps in this, Jim, than I do, of this weird sort of hybrid between, like, very personal, because it's just two people talking, but absolutely public, because literally the entire planet could be watching.
That's right.
So it's this bizarre, like, tell me about your personal fears, but not just me. Tell some dude in Belarus.
That's right. That's
have
right.
Like an aversion to big dogs or whatever the case may be. It's an interesting time.
I will have to say that there are a lot of conversations I've had lately, and your name and Space Couch have been involved in all of them.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm patting 100 and something.
And I'll tell you, I just had to have you on this program.
Awesome, man.
Because I've known you for a while, and the whole Space Couch thing is just incredible. I remember watching a lot of these episodes when, I don't know, about a year or two ago. And then my buddy Michael Nagy was a guest on your show.
Yeah.
And you pulled so much out of that fucker. I'll tell you, the one thing, and I told him this when I talked to him on the phone the night after that show premiered. I said, dude, I didn't realize you'd went to so many motherfucking concerts.
Unreal with that guy. Check out Discovering Bands with Michael Nagy.
My God!
He is a warrior.
You ain't kidding me.
Yeah, everybody kind of knows that guy that really is dedicated to what I'll call the cause, for lack of a better word. But just living that industrial life. And Mr. Nagy is definitely one of them. And I am a fan of his interviews as well. They're very, on the outset, sort of very general, I guess. Like, and we talked about this on the show, because like I like to go crazy. Like, tell me about what favorite toothpaste is most relates to your song, just like Barbara Walters shit, or I don't know what I can say in the show.
No. You can say whatever the hell you want.
You're awesome. Just Barbara
you're
Walters
good,
shit.
baby.
You're
and then good.
He'll be like, how the band start, but it's subtle. He's got a way of starting with these kind of like, what's your favorite color type questions, but then you start talking about how, like, crazy shit, like my mom didn't love me, or just whatever it is. Like he gets to these like weird places. Quite good. So
he does. He's incredible.
Well, that's the kind of thing. Now watch me bring it back to me. That's the kind of thing that I've learned on my show.
Well, and see, that's the deal. Is like with your show, you have got so many things. What the closest thing that I can think of as far as like radio would be concerned that I would compare you to is, I don't know if you probably not have ever heard this show, but Mancow out of Chicago used to host a morning show called Mancow's Morning Madhouse.
Oh, I spent many years in Chicago.
Oh my God, that sounds like it sounds like there's 95 things going on. He's got him
Yeah,
talking.
morning
He's
zoo.
got guests. He's got the sound effects. He's got the music bumpers. And there's been a few times that they've put cameras in the studio, and he is moving that control board and pressing buttons and doing all the stuff. That is what it feels like when I watch an episode of your show.
That's
You've got the video stuff going with the backgrounds. You've got your interviews. You've got the production of the people in the TV boxes. You've got This thing is amazing. And one of the things that Michael told me after he had been on your show is he's like, I can't believe this guy doesn't have more views on his videos. And I said, dude, Brian should be the biggest goddamn thing on the planet. Because if you look at your videos and the people that you've got and the way the interviews are done and the production, you should be one of these rich YouTube guys. That's really where it comes down to.
I'm not... There's sort of an expectation on these shows that you'll fake humility. Like, I'm just trying to keep my head down and give back. No, fuck that. You're right. I should be.
You should be the biggest thing going, man.
It is easy to allow yourself to sort of fall into that mindset of, I'm doing 3 podcasts and a TV show and 10 billion bands. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but clearly I'm doing something wrong. Like, it's on me to a certain extent that, all this stuff is going out into the ether, and I'm getting some response on it, but not as much.
Well, and see, that's the thing is you've got a following, but your following should be bigger because, like, I see these. And I hate to do this because I'm sure at some point this will get back to someone or someone will run their mouth because that always happens. But
I just thought you should know.
That's right. There is a guy that I interviewed. We do these interviews whenever we have performers come into the area. And they perform at various venues. I'll do interviews with various bands or whatever, just as like a pre-promo kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed a guy one time, and he has this thing on YouTube called Guitar Talk, where he's a guitar player, and he interviews other guitar players. And he's got all these huge name guitar guys. And his production is very simple. It's him with a camera on him, and then there's the camera on the person. Mm-hmm. And they're either doing Zoom or Skype or whatever. And maybe they've got some graphics, and maybe there's a little bit of music. But it's basically like watching old C-SPAN. There's not much going on. But this guy's videos, he's got thousands and thousands of views. And he's got the same kind of people that you have.
Yeah, I don't...
And I'm like, okay, I know that way back in the day, my buddy Ross Long, Ross the Boss, the rabble-rousing ringleader, used to always... tell me about keywords and all this. And he was always like, we got to keyword this, we got to keyword that. And I'm like, and that's one thing Nagy brought up to me one time. He's like, well, maybe he's just not keywording things right. And I'm like, no, there's got to be something going on here because the people that you have in the production, and that's something I want to talk about here in a little bit, is the production that you put into this. You have like one episode that's got so much production going on, and then you turn on the next episode, and it's kicked up a couple notches. And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Tell me about the production process. What does it take for you to put one of these episodes together? Because this looks like you truly are busier than a goat in a hailstorm.
Well, A, I'm stealing that expression. That's amazing. B, this is the best interview I've ever done. It's just nonstop adulation about specifically the effort into Space Couch, because it does take a lot of freaking time, man.
God.
And it's not. I mean, I have like a giant year coming up through all my music, but my bands. I hesitate because Space Couch does sort of not only fall into the heading of music, but I'm not amazing on my own, so a lot of that sort of bells and whistles stuff you may see is me attempting to sort of shore up my product. A lot of times that just comes from the guest. Today, no, I have to go out and curate a lot of this material.
Well, yeah.
And, let's say we have someone with a video game.
Yes.
And they don't have a trailer. Well, now I got to cut together a video game trailer.
And see, this is the thing I liked about with Nagy when you had him on, is you took a bunch of his past interviews and you cut together clips and you put it together. And I see this on all the different shows that you do.
Well,
and I'm like, this is fantastic.
It's great. Well, I mean, yeah, it's like we have specifically because I'm doing something that you couldn't do 3 years ago.
Yes.
I met Michael, I don't know where, because you sort of move this mental festival through your life from year to year, and there's just like this summer camp crowd. By the way, industrial summer camp, that phrase, I invented that shit. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. That comes from Brian Graupner. Do you think anybody else is that smart? That was kind of douchey sounding, but it's true.
You're great.
I just heard I just discussed myself. But Michael, the reason I brought that up is because they met him in person, and you do these interviews in person, and there are limitations there often on people's time. I had to cut an interview with him short because it was my time to sound check, or weather, or just let's say you forgot the battery for the camera or whatever it is home that day. There's a lot of challenges to that, or even with. Just because I brought it up earlier, Rex's show, Static TV, which is a more of a traditional. I do an interview, I take it home, and I put it together like a show. There's a lot of post-processing that goes on. And now in what I used to call Coronaverse, but what I'll call the Twitchosphere, or whatever portmanteau you want to use, we can kind of go in this nice little gray area where I have so much control over the environment, right?
Yeah.
Through whatever I'm sending out to the audience through OBS or whatever software I want to use that week.
Yeah.
But it's live, so I get all the advantages of that. So why not? And there are a lot of people who are better than I am, and just a lot of people. Like, there's billions of shows in the world now.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, my God. Everybody and their brother's got a goddamn show.
Well, because there's no barrier to entry. And that just sort of is. That's not good or bad. That's just what is.
Yeah.
Now, especially. So.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of life is this way, where it takes the gap from an F to a B is so minimal, and the gap from a B to an A is just a chasm for a lot of people, myself included. So it takes a little bit of effort to do a little bit of research to find out how to do some tricks for your Twitch stream when you get up to a B, and then you're much better than you were at an F.
Well, I had someone mention to me, I'm trying to remember who the hell it was, but I had someone mention to me they had seen Space Couch, and they'd seen all the various things that you were doing, and they made the same comment that Michael made, which is, why isn't this guy the biggest damn thing on the planet? And what they believed was to be the problem was that I guess you premiere your videos later on YouTube, but you do everything live, or what they thought was everything live, And they
I
thought,
used to.
well, he's getting all of his live viewers, and then people forget about going over and watching the YouTube video.
Yeah, well, and I know we're doing like another lap on how much I suck here.
No,
but,
no. I'm just trying to figure out
just kidding.
because
Shit.
I see this, like,
Well, I'll tell you.
for
here's what I think.
instance, one of the things that I've noticed is these YouTube people that, like, my 12-year-old, I guess you would call her a stepdaughter at this point, but Crystal watches these people do, like, these food reaction videos and all this nonsense. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people?
We have wonderful radio out of Kansas that we're listening to now, and people sort of right, wrong, or indifferent. Like I'm not trying to be too judgy, but something in the human psyche would just rather watch a kid unbox Yu-Gi-Oh toys or something. It's
That's
like,
the thing. What in the world is going on here?
We have, Rex Arcana or I had attrition on. I'm a giant attrition fan.
Yes.
And brace yourself for a shock, but I'm also a giant nerd. So to have attrition bring his childhood World War I action figure onto the show and say that this is kind of where the name attrition comes from, that action figure, we discovered attrition is a secret nerd band. Do you know how insane that is? And then, like, all right, this kid just bought some Ben 10 toys, so let's look at that. Like, I don't get it. Like, but here's what I'm gonna get on my sad soapbox for a second, and then I'll shift off of it, because this has been my life for maybe 20 years, where I've just sort of bopped along in this industrial middle class. Like, there was somewhere at some point somebody made the decision that the Gothsicles are a good solid B, man. Like, and then every show was like, why weren't you guys headlining? Dude, I don't know. Why didn't you? Dude, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The memo got out that we're bronze medal at best, and there's nothing. I
and see, that's the thing. You are completely correct on that. There is, or there was, because they're not together anymore. But there was a band here locally in Kansas. They used to play in Salina, Kansas, all the time, and they were called Sanguine. I don't know what the deal with the name was, but they would always open these shows at this bar called the Blue Goat. And I don't know why they called it the Blue Goat, but they would always open, and they always had a huge crowd. Mm-hmm. And I always wondered why they never played higher than just an opening band.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for setting me up, because I said I was going to segue out of that sad soapbox, which you just sort of gave me the alley-oop on that. Which I can zoom out and be like, this guy who just cracked Cubase 2 seconds ago and it put a naked chick in his video now has 2 billion more views than I have or will ever have.
Yes.
Or whatever the case may be. I don't. We don't need to go down that particular avenue, but it's easy to make these equivocations. I can zoom out and go, yo, I'm gonna play 4 giant festivals this year with a screamy industrial band that shouldn't work, and I have viewers from all over the world. I've interviewed all my favorite bands. Like, by any metric, I should be and am wildly happy with things right now. Yes, you can go back and be like, maybe one of these millions of things will hit. Maybe I'm just going around it wrong by diversifying, by doing thousands of things. And I know I'm kind of calling myself a hero here, but the idea is that I don't know. I keep rolling a 1. I got to
Well,
the boss fight.
you-
I'm just
You actually may have hit something on the head there, my friend, because I remember back when we started doing Jiggy Jag TV and we were putting the shows on Access TV here locally, and they would run them at like midnight or whatever on a Saturday. And then YouTube became a thing, and we started putting things on YouTube. And we still had more people paying attention to us on the cable channel. And then all of a sudden Facebook Live starts doing things. And so we got to do live interviews. And then it got to the point where, well, they've seen my Facebook Live. Why are they going to go watch the same damn interview I've just done on YouTube? So you might be right in because you just want to shotgun the content out there. Who knows?
Incidentally, we do go live simultaneously on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Also Twitter. That is every Sunday at 3 p.m. EST out of Boston/space. That all goes out at the same time. Most people go to facebook.com/spacecouchshow. You can also go to youtube.com/spacecouchshow or twitch.tv/spacecouchshow. Thank you for my plugging.
No,
I wanted to
you're
throw that in
good,
because
baby.
you
You're
posited that I
good.
hadn't been putting it on YouTube, and that was the issue. But
The
now
one
even
thing,
YouTube
one
and heart.
thing also I want to ask you about. Why
Yes, sir.
you've opened the door as my good friend Frank Catolo says, the door is open. I've got to talk. I've got to ask you.
Yeah.
What is your process like? Do you book the guest?
Yeah.
Then go in and grab all the like when you had Nagy on, you got him on. Do you do the interview and then piece most of it together later and then put it up, or how does?
Here's my process, and let me know if this gets boring, but maybe for
Oh,
you
it
at
won't.
home.
Believe
This
me,
is
it won't.
just me, like with no reference, going complete space pirate ship. But the idea at the start was that I've been in industrial music my whole life.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
know everybody now. I know them all. So with this show, I'm going to take you into the green room. So I would just reach out to people that I knew that had some pull. Angel Spit et al.
Yeah.
Shout out to Angel Spit. And then it kind of started taking off, man. And like people would come to me and be like, "Can I be on your show?" And I'd be like, "If you want, dude, yeah." Like, what I'm gonna say? No, you can't be on my fake TV show. So yeah, I do one a week. Schedule it out. I'm scheduled way out in advance. I'll try to come up with 10 to 11 questions beforehand. I'll send those to the guest, and then we podcast it later at wherever you find podcast, iTunes, Google Play, all of that, the Space Couch Show podcast. That is after the fact, but I don't edit any of the audio other than to put a bumper for the network, Tiger Squawk Digital, at the front.
That's awesome.
I will reach out to guests, and I've had a lot of fun talking to people that don't often get interviewed. Like, I wonder what it really is waiting in front of the coffee maker for the coffee to go into the mug. We're doing a Prince mug today.
I love that. Yes.
And I just go, if I ever find myself thinking like, I wonder what Michael Nagy's deal is. I don't know that dude. I'll stop and go, wait a minute. Let's find out
wonder what his
together
deal
on
is.
Space Couch. Like, he's just the guy that shows up and asks you questions about your band. That's as much as I knew about that guy. Turned out he had some great stories.
Oh, he does.
And I did that like with, my brother is an amazing musician. I'm going to back up step to something we were talking about earlier because I feel still bad about that. I talked about being a victim after any fashion because everybody knows somebody like the person who's just wildly talented and doesn't care.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Check out Control Shift. No eye. He should be way bigger than he is. But like everybody's got that guy.
Yes.
And my brother is one of those guys who's just crapping talent. And I go, what's your deal? Tell me. And then I stop and go, let's find out together on Space Couch. So that's really been.
I think that's awesome.
If I reach out to somebody, that's where that comes from. Then I send them a thank you pack, or at least I offer to. Send them some cool promo material after the fact. But a lot of times people reach out to me, and now it's going in directions that I never thought. Like we talked to a big time comic book artist. That was great.
That's badass.
Yeah, and we'll have our first stand-up comedian on shortly.
That
We're
is
gonna find out that
tremendous.
whole world. It's if I find myself asking myself questions, then I decide to have that person on. But now it's been going long enough that we've got like personalities and friends and like reoccurring characters and stuff. Like,
Yes.
not characters
Yes.
like Cajun Man or some SNL Weekend Update character. But Stephen Archer's been on a million times, and people have. Why did I go to him?
Oh, believe me, when we.
But
yes, when
Industrial Nation. See, I just right back in. It's all industrial music with this guy.
And one thing that you have found, I'm sure, with the reoccurring characters, is they just pop in, and you don't realize until later. Oh my God, this guy or this girl is popular.
Well, it's amazing. Like I really didn't know. I take it back. I had Unit Code Machine like CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I never met the dude really from Unit Code Machine, and we had a great interview. And now that guy's my coworker. Like he's my real life coworker. We had a job opening on a TELUS office. You wanna? And he's like, yeah. And so Space Couch has like really impacted my life.
We had this when I started hanging out and doing Jiggy Jag TV, and we'd do stuff at the Blue Goat. We would have, it's at a bar, and you've got drunks, and it's not that big of a deal. And we ended up having this guy named Bruce on the Loose who showed up, and his name was Bruce. And then at one point he told me, he's like, "Oh, my name's Bruce on the Loose, baby." And all this, and he would dance, and he would light his beard on fire, and he would do all these weird things. And me and Ninja Larry, my camera guy, decided one day, we're putting Bruce on the TV show. And Bruce got to be the biggest damn thing in Salina, Kansas.
Nice.
And he shows up one day to the Blue Goat, and he goes, I went to the grocery store earlier today, and the cashier Rick said, "You're Bruce on the Loose from Jiggy Jag TV."
That's funny.
It's on me.
It's cool. Like for at the start, it was like you're the good-looking guy in Caustic, and then I got you're the Gothicals guy for like a long time.
That's right.
And now it's starting to be you're the Space Couch guy.
You're the Space Couch guy.
Like we went to go see Trixie Mattel in Boston, and just like everyone's just like dying laughing, and on the way out of the show, just somebody yells across, "Yo, Space Couch!" I'm like, what the? Did that just happen? Cool.
I just think it's fantastic. You should be getting everything that you're getting and more,
Thanks,
my friend,
I
Brian.
want to give a shout out to patreon.com/Gothicals. Also a plug, obviously, but a shout out to the patrons they're on, because they sort of I just did Space Couch just to do it, and opened it up to getting like your name in the credits and other little Space Couch type promos. Yeah. So those people have really been helpful. A lot of organizations in the industrial community. Like we just had an episode right before I came on your wonderful program with superstar Leah Synesthesia.
Wow.
That's another thing. Just going back to your comment about production, She had done all sorts of video games and music videos and new albums and stuff. So I feel it's incumbent on me to sort of compress all that into a show, which takes some prep time. But to your point, like we were just just now talking, and I forgot what I was gonna. Fuck! I lost that train of thought. They go off the rails sometimes.
No,
that
you're
happens.
good. You're
Because you
good.
spin like 10 plates, and one of them drops every now and then. So I'm sorry
Well,
that I lost
one of the
thought
things
line
that
there.
You're involved in the industrial scene.
Damn it!
One of the
You're
things.
so good because that brought me. I wanted to give a shout out to Sounds and Shadows at MTV TV, 2 other programs that have really helped my program out. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about that. Back to you,
No,
Dave.
you're good. You're good. So, being involved in the industrial scene, one of the things that Nagy was always, when he was here in Kansas, he would always, when he would come by and do the radio show, he would come by and he would show me different videos of industrial bands. And then he started showing me what I affectionately termed vampire bands. and he would just laugh his head off every time I would say the vampire bands. Do they have a lot of that out there in Boston where they have this some of these different things, or is the roughest thing they've got out there the industrial bands?
Meaning, well, it depends what you mean.
Well, he was showing me this guy, and this guy had a full band on stage.
Uh-huh.
And then on one of the sides of the stage was this guy who was made up like a vampire, and he was supposedly biting chicks in the neck, and then he would be singing.
Well,
and I'm like,
that's
what in the hell,
stupid.
Bobby?
Don't actually bite people unless it's theatrical. There is a goth rock scene here in Boston. I haven't really taken it up. There's an event coming up this year called Dark Spring Boston.
Okay.
I don't know those people, but it's a lot of local goth rock bands. We have Pilgrims of Yearning are wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'll count Helix in that. If they're not an industrial band, they're not a goth rock band either, but that's all I can think of. Helix is the Assemblage 23 project with his now wife, Mary, who are all good friends of ours. But yes, so if by vampire band you mean goth rock, full bore here in Boston. Axiom Blue. I'm forgetting their name. We had Convergence here 2 years ago at the sort of roving goth rock festival, and that was really wonderful. I'm going to bring it back to me again because no one is as literally a vampire band as the Gothsicles or side project Gasoline and Vertebrate, because I am now a canonical vampire, meaning
Look at that.
I, as alluded to previously, am a giant nerd. Growing up,
giant nerd.
And even into later in life, the Vampire, the Eternal Struggle card game was always big. It's I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. The second game, the guy that made Magic the Gathering, the second one he did was Vampire, the Eternal Struggle in 1994. Went away for a while. It's back now, and officially, my face is on a card. I'm an official
awesome.
World of Darkness vampire. Octane is an 8-cap Brujah Anarch. Check that out. It's the cover of an album for a side project I have called Gasoline and Vertebrate. It's actually the inside CD cover they used for that card. So if you're going to talk about vampire bands, that is literally a vampire band.
You're amazing.
I get that a lot.
So,
No, I don't.
I need you to tell me about what is the big fascination, because this is another thing that Nagy is constantly talking about. And you guys brought it up on the show that you guys did on Space Couch, which, by the way, is an amazing episode. The fact that I was watching that episode, and you're showing that list, that he's got of all these all these concerts he's been to, and I'm sitting there watching this on my phone, going, "What in the world? How do you go to so many of these concerts?" I've got to have you explain to me what is the dark side of the con, and why is this such a big deal?
Okay. As we are recording this, I've never been to one.
Okay. Yeah.
But I've been to enough that I have enough circumstantial evidence that I can speak
I have enough circumstantial evidence.
It used to be sort of this event called Wicked Fair, and it's
okay. I've heard of that. Yes.
And it's sort of not officially, but sort of the spiritual successor to that, as far as I understand it, is this dark side of the con. And it's run by the Vampire Freaks people that have been amazing to us since day one. Whatever you want to think about Vampire Freaks, I have had nothing but amazingly positive experiences with that community.
That's awesome.
So it's their sort of big thing. The fourth one was going to happen in 2019, and so we've been, or 2020. We've been shipping it around. It is for the listener. This may be something of a splitting of hairs, but it's attempt to combine. The feel or aesthetic even of a fan-run con and an industrial festival, which sound very similar, but can on their face be rather different. Like, I'm talking a fan-run con. This isn't. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the big con for years and years and years was Gen Con, the gaming convention.
Oh, really?
They take over not dyed in the wool, nerd man, but they take over the biggest convention hall in Milwaukee, and it's a lot of corporate interest in it. I think Hasbro owns D&D now, but it's awesome, and that's what it is. And then there's this world that it took me a long time to find, like until really later in life. The fan run con, where just like some dudes will rent out a Holiday Inn Express for like a weekend, and like that's just our thing. Like a bunch of Klingons show up and we raid the Doubletree or whatever in Bloomington, Minnesota.
Yes.
And woe be unto you if that's when your dentist convention is, because we're doing this fan run con, and we'll get like a mid-level guest. Sometimes they're really great, but it'll be like Morn from Deep Space Nine, something like that level. And it's amazing. And so you have this sort of real grassroots vibe that I think, now I haven't been to it, but the attempt is to mash that with, instead of like self-published fantasy authors, we're going to have FGFCA 2.0 or Birthday Massacre or Orgy this year.
Birthday Massacre. I've heard that name on many occasions.
We're doing Space Couch ever. The first away Space Couch ever, live at Dark Side of the Con. And it's a big deal because it's happening, like it didn't bankrupt or something like that after so many things tragically did during the pandemic, or continue to be so. The lineup is bonkers. It's really, really cool, man. Like if you're into this world, it is a lot of bang for your buck for a lot of wonderful bands.
That's great. It is. It is amazing.
Ego likeness. Peter turns pirate. It's Grendel. It's just going to be great.
Well, Brian, you have been fantastic today. This has been amazing. I definitely want to have you back when. I just want to have you back because you're great.
I will say it on air so it's on record. I will do it this anytime. I could talk for days about myself. So yeah, this freestanding offer.
I love it. I gotta get you on here when we have Cluck the Clown in studio, or when we have DJ Spawn here, or when I have the one and only Bard of Broadcasting himself, Frank Catolo, on. I've got to have you on and have you interact with the people that we have on our
Spawn Talk. It sounds like Nerd Central.
Oh, Spawn is great. Spawn is this guy. He shows up with these giant turntables and he DJs in the studio between the breaks on the radio show. And it's so funny because he's a big comic book guy.
Okay.
Because of the whole DJ Spawn thing.
Well, that's what I was assuming it would come from. Like, we could introduce that show like he used to do, like Todd McFarlane used to do with that goofy Spawn cartoon in the 90s. Like, back to the camera with a bunch of candles, and then we turn around in a chair like, oh, hello, you caught me in my spooky lair. Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm already ideating my second appearance. That's so much of a narcissist.
And then Cluck the Clown is just... I don't know. This guy's in a children's book. He is hated by a lot of the local indie wrestlers here. He's nice. He is like a typical guy that Jiggy Jag would be
I saw you were
attracted to.
a wrestling guy.
Yes.
I was supposed to go. I don't know if you or your listeners are fans of Morris Black.
Wow.
Right? Amazing. He lives down the street, so we were going to go to the check out the local Boston indie wrestling on Friday, but it got canceled. But anyway, I almost went on a wrestling date with Morris Black. That's the whole story.
You know, if you ever get a chance to have pro wrestlers on Space Couch, you should do it because you will have a blast.
Check out the Trevor Aon episode. We talked a lot about wrestling on that one. He's a pro wrestler. He's the industrial pro wrestler.
The industrial pro wrestler.
For now. We'll start like an over 40 league, and then I'll have a chance.
Then you'll be right there. Well, so I've got to ask, with the Space Couch, did you buy the Space Couch? How did you end up with the Space Couch? Because the couch is fantastic.
Oh,
it looks comfy as a motherfucker. It's great.
No, it was my girlfriend at the time, now wife, had the idea of getting like kind of a loungy couch. This is the first time I've ever talked about the couch. I'm sorry, I'm just tickled pink.
No, you're great.
And we wanted it in black because that's the law. And it was sold out. The only one left was in gunmetal. How industrial is that? And, so Space Dog, who comes on the show every now and then. I love
Space Dog. That was going to be my next question. I was going to ask about Space Dog.
Juno, come here.
I was going to ask about the Space Dog.
She's giving me the side eye because I'm sitting in her spot. This is really Space Couch's couch. But we had done. Speaking of my wife, had just done a video game. To Get a Life, like that video gaming charity, Play for Life or something like that, where you basically,
I think I've heard of that. Yeah,
you play video games on Twitch and people pay you money for charity, and we'd done that at her employer at the time. She's in video games, which is awesome. I had such a blast at that. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. That I came home and set up a green screen, space station, and all that, and just turned it on. And I'm just looking at my laptop at me, at a reflection of me, and just hitting record and going, welcome to Space Couch. Like, it just came out of my mouth and got it right of the first try 127 episodes later.
That's kind of how we did Jiggy Jag TV.
Nice, man.
It was just all of a sudden Jiggy Jaguar, Jiggy Jag TV, let's do this, and
it's interesting. Like, for all the planning I was espousing earlier, there is a sort of muscle that I need to flex a little bit more, that improv muscle of just, let's have an idea and go.
Yes.
Like, let's just get it out into the world. Like, Otherwise, we're just multiplying by zero. Like, I mean, we can plan and plan and plan and plan and plan and just have these little pieces of nothing, but it's still nothing until you get the idea out there.
You mentioned the green screen thing. We did a deal one time when we were down at Access TV in Salina, and they used to do this thing called Tuesday Night Television, where they would bring in, you could if you were a part of the community, you could come in and they would feed you pizza and pop, and they'd teach you how to make a TV show.
Cool.
And I would always book in-studio guests on the Tuesday night once a month that I had. And a lot of times the guest either wouldn't show up or what have you.
Right.
So there was one time I told them we had this studio full of kids that were trying to learn TV. And I said, just do this. I will just stand in front of the green screen, and you guys just throw me props, and we'll just do this show for an hour.
That sounds awesome.
And so they threw me all sorts of things.
Oh, man, talk about improv.
And at one point, I had a purple suit jacket, and it was just, I always do really, really offensive, politically incorrect humor. It just makes me laugh like a schoolgirl.
Oh, yeah.
So I put this purple jacket on, and it was 2 weeks after Heath Ledger had died, and I was like, Heath Ledger before the suicide. It was just amazing, horrible humor. But at the end of the night, all the kids learned how to use the green screen. They learned to film a TV show. And I had an hour of me just being an idiot. Mm. And we put that on the air. So
no, and I'm sure you got something out of it as well. Like,
yes.
Now I know how to wrangle kids or in a chroma key things when motion is happening.
Oh yeah, and they would do,
So
they were doing the chroma key, they were doing the CGs, they were all the stuff. It was great. It was fantastic. And then we decided a couple months later, well, we would do it again, and I just wouldn't book a guest, and I'd do it, and it just wasn't as fun the second time around. But it still was crazy because they would do things where they had like a targeting system that would follow me.
Oh wow!
All this, and it was
Star Wars,
quite the deal. And so yeah, the fact that you just turned on a laptop and said Space Couch, and now this thing has become a huge phenomenon. You're going out in public and people are going, "Hey, Space Couch."
Yeah, we don't have the views that we quite want, but I don't know. There's some alchemy.
I think it's just the algorithm, and I think it's also the fact that there is 60 billion people out here doing content. And in a roundabout way, I like that idea that there are no gatekeepers, because there is so much crap in music, radio, TV, where there's all these gatekeepers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, after I see stuff like this Mr. Beast guy who rolls up to like dirt tracks and supposedly is going to give these dirt bikes away. And I'm like, dude, you've got a sponsor that provided you those dirt bikes. Come on. I see stuff like that, and then I compare that to what you're doing. And I'm like, you guys should obviously switch spots.
Yeah. Would that I have that power? I mean, is it a personal momentum thing? Like Rex, and I know this is like the 10th time I brought him up. I don't know.
No, I love it.
FTFCA2 on the brain today. He wrote me kind of angry. He's like, "Why haven't I been on your show yet?" And I was like,
"I'm not on your show." You're
like, I didn't think I was on your level, like.
Well, that too.
What's that?
That too. I've run into people like that before that have asked me about why don't you have me on the show, and I'm like, I'm not having you on the show because you're, whoever. And I'm like,
Right.
really?
So it's maybe that vibe of not believing in the product, but just not wanting to foist my shit on people that I don't want to be.
That
Yes,
too.
I'd like people to watch it because I'm putting effort out there, so you want to have that validated. But I also don't want to, be the guy that's like jumping out of your breakfast cereal bowl in the morning going, "Rah, watch my shit." Like I don't want to be too.
That would be fantastic, though, if we could get
I don't
that
think
put
we're
together.
that far off as a society, like with phones and all that. So, I mean, we'll work on a way to microtize myself into boxes.
That would be
breakfast
fantastic. I would love
not
to see you.
serious.
That would be a great promo of you popping out of a thing of breakfast cereal going, "Watch Space Counts."
Yeah, it's just frosted marshmallow space dogs and
That you're writing the script for it right now. You're doing
we'll
it.
have little strawberry Stephen Archer heads and like just dreadlocks, Stephen Archer dreadlocks.
Gotta make this happen at some point.
Oh man, it is part of a balanced breakbeat here on on Space Couch.
Look at this. The marketing sells itself.
Yeah, maybe that's what I got. I don't know. There is a weird. This is not a well-formed thought, so this might be fucked up.
Okay.
But just from a gut feeling, there is this idea of wanting to almost keep the product from getting too big, by a way of protection.
That too.
Not that I'd be beholden to sponsors or something like that.
No.
That I could be. Right now, I call the record label that I run, the quote unquote air quote sponsor of the show, as basically a way to plug Tiger Squawk Records and a parent company, Tiger Squawk Digital at tigersquawkdigital.com. But let's say I got that whatever stamps.com or Geico or any of those.
Yeah.
Now do I have to say something or not? And I know those two examples tend to be pretty general, but
yeah.
If it got to, just speaking hypothetically, like if it got to some astronomical height, would I have to watch what I say or
see, that's the
not
thing.
watch what I say? And my mom watches the show now, and I don't give a fuck. But like every now and then I'll be, that's gonna be in my head, and so you take that as a microcosm of what may or may not exist and extrapolate that times 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever the case may be. Now, I would love to, I'm not going to ever get those numbers, but these are the thoughts you have. So it's easier to sort of rein this horse around in my head if I have a small amount of viewers. Now, then you go, yeah, I'm fine. And then you click around on YouTube and some dude just singing along to Kendrick Lamar in a Toyota Previa has 5 million views. And you're like, what the fuck planet is
Exactly.
this?
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on. Or, I'll listen to industrial music and I'm not going to shit on it, but it's just the world I know the most.
Yeah.
And there'll be like a band like literally called whatever Blade Runner in 2022, and they're sampling the Matrix, and I'm like, what year is it? What is going on? and
That's awesome.
Good luck tonight in your headlining slot because you're killing it. And a lot of those bands are awesome, but it's like it's easy to make all these comparisons. I'm trying not to get too woo-woo here, but it's interesting because this is sort of like a big crisis in my life right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I run into this a lot when I see some of these people, like I told you earlier. You get a guy who's got, he's got all these guitar guys on, and he's doing this show, and he's talking to the same people that I'm talking to. Or he's talking to the same people that I know somebody else is talking to. And I watch his stuff, and then I'm like, there's no difference. But the stuff that's not getting the views has got better production and looks better than him sitting in a corner doing.
Well, right now, I
It's
mean,
just
I hate to say
amazing
it,
to
but
me.
he's doing something that you and I aren't.
See, and that's the thing.
And so he deserves that. He deserves
That too.
His accolades or whatever. I mean, if this individual X, let's just make it completely hypothetical, is getting millions of views, I mean, people en masse, that just these giant swaths, like he's got to be doing something right? So it's just an idea of figuring what that is, and maybe time corrects that. Like, I know that's not
that too, and then you have situations like when Nagy first started doing YouTube, he got in touch with me one day and he's like, I love this quote. And I've used it forever, and I've known lots of people that know Michael, and we laugh all the time when we use this quote. And I don't think when he said it originally, he meant it to be as funny as it sounded. But he calls me up one day, and he goes, I was looking at all these guys on YouTube, and I have no reason to believe that I have no choice now. I have to become a famous YouTuber.
That's, well...
And I'm like, okay.
I mean,
and you know what's funny is that when you were talking to him on the show, in a roundabout way, even though he's not making millions of dollars, he kind of is a famous YouTuber.
Yeah, well, you get there, and like sort of time corrects that. Like, my mind is going to, I don't know if you know Null Device, good friend.
Yes, I've heard of them. Yes.
You want to talk about crapping talent? He's this concert violinist. Sings like a goddamn angel. Writes amazing lyrics, and he's been at it for years and years and years. And what's the thing that hits is clack. They top out the Deutsche Alternative charts, with his side project, essentially with the aforementioned Matt Finale. He deserves it. Clack is incredible, but it's you got there. Like, it took a little bit, and it took a little bit of adjustment, but he's finally getting his due accolades. I don't think as much, because Null Device breaks and broke and continues to break a lot of boundaries, but I'm happy that time corrected that, and maybe that'll happen for me. And in a lot of ways it has. Like, there's really no reason that I should have had a giant theater crowd in Helsinki, Finland. Like, I've had amazing experiences in
well, and see, this is something else, and I think this is where a lot of times when I look at things online, and I don't know why this is. Maybe this is just the fact that creative people always have to compare themselves to other people. I don't know. True. But, I get on YouTube and I see some of these people. Like one of the things that started to bother me years ago, which it doesn't now, because I for whatever reason don't care. I don't know why it bothered me, but then now I know it doesn't bother me. But we started going to these porn conventions, as I like to call them. The Adult Video News Awards or Exotica or one of these porn conventions.
Okay.
And we would go to these porn conventions and we would interview. I would get press passes. We would go in. We would do interviews and we'd do all this stuff. And I always, which part of the reason why my as I like to refer to her as the assistant, even though she's not the assistant, but the lovely and talented Britannia, my girlfriend, basically. She runs the camera for me, and she keeps me organized and all these various things. And I am such a strict, I don't know if the term Nazi would be something that you would want to say, but like before we leave to go on a shoot, I always make sure that we're both wearing, K-Jag Radio shirts.
Hell yeah.
And we've got all the gear, and
you're the planner guy.
ready to go.
Same way, man.
She fucking hates it.
Oh, wow.
And we went to Vegas one year for the AVNs, and I overpack, as everybody tells me all the time. I always make sure that I take plenty of clothes, plenty of gear. I sometimes take too much gear. And we got this interview with this chick named Jessica Drake. And we show up, and I've got a suit. I've got a suit on. Brittany's got a nice dress on. We've got all of our gear. We've got lights and the tripod. We've got all the stuff. And we're waiting to go in to do this interview with Jessica Drake. And there's somebody finishing up. And her, I guess you would call him, I would refer to him as a tour manager. I'm sure that's not the term, but the tour manager lets us into lets us into the room. And he's like, there's somebody doing an interview, just kind of, keep it down a little bit. They're about finished up. And I look at these two guys, and they're both wearing shorts. Of course, we're in Vegas, so whatever. They're wearing shorts. One of them has a camera phone, and he's got like this little tiny lavalier mic. And one of the questions that he asked this world famous porn star, Jessica Drake, is, hey, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And I'm like sitting there going, okay, I don't have to feel bad anymore. Because I'm prepped. I'm ready to go. I've got questions. I'm looking nice. The camera person looks nice. We've got all of our nice gear. And these guys are sitting there with a camera phone and a little lavalier mic. And I'm shocked they were even able to get in here.
How long do you want to go for this interview? Because I could just keep talking for like millions of years. But
well, I actually we could do another 15 minutes and then wrap it up here.
Okay, cool.
I could talk to you literally all day.
Oh well, I had a foreign convention story that I could relate.
Oh, I have to have you tell it.
Okay, yeah, this is the only one I ever been to. It's like it's a world I don't fucking know, but like this, we were studying abroad for a year in Germany, me and my buddy, and there was like the erotic Messe is coming to Germany for Freiburg am Breisgau.
German Monseiser.
Yeah, so we're like, all right, let's just do it. It's here, and we don't really know what this is, and that's where I saw the best stripper I ever saw, and it was a dude, and I'll qualify that. Because it's like we got in, like, I don't know what this is, and
I don't know what this is.
Because I'd never been to a porn convention; it was just sort of something to do.
Yes.
And because like I don't think our internet had been hooked up. This is like 2001.
Our internet had been hooked up, so we got nothing to do.
So pretty much, right? Like, yeah, because I was 21 at the time, an idiot. Like, didn't realize I was in the most beautiful country in the world, and I needed an internet connection to like enjoy myself. But so we go, and like the strip show begins. Like the strip show is starting in 5 minutes, and like right when we got in, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like two idiots, me and my buddy, stumbled to the back, and this guy comes out in, I swear to God, the robot from the Power Rangers that would go like, ay, 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 ay. That, I don't know that character's name.
I know what you're talking about. It's hilarious.
He has sort of a disc-shaped head, and he comes out in that costume. And I'm like,
in that costume. He's wearing that
this
getup.
is the weirdest strip show I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, it's definitely a dude. Did we go into like an all? It just happened to be the guy's turn. This was like our first thing, so I didn't know if I walked into like a strictly homosexual event or what.
Yeah.
So we're like, I don't know about all this, and then he starts doing this like a strip show, like a robot strip show, like, and I'll never forget this.
Badass.
He comes out like doing this cheesy robot thing, and the music goes, "I am a machine. I have been programmed to dance," and then he starts doing the thing. And I'm like, this is the craziest thing ever.
Holy
he stops his show
crap.
and goes, Danke, ich mache ein bisschen Beatbox für euch. Like, I'm going to do a little beatboxing for you. And then he never takes it out, but he's wearing like this tiny D-string, just grabs the announcer's mic for no reason, and starts beatboxing, and then goes, thank you. And that was the whole show. We're like, this is the craziest slash awesome thing I ever
That
did.
is badass.
Thank you for letting me tell my porn convention story on the air that I've never told before.
Hey, I think that is tremendous. You know, there was a chick last year in Chicago when we went to Exotica, and she would be she would fit in so well in the industrial heavy metal scene.
All right.
Her name is Rubber Doll, and she
Sounds like a
is
band.
all in latex, and she's got this stage show she does where she hooks up these things to her nipples where she lights them on fire. She's doing all these amazing things. She's got like these rings of fire on stage she like jumps through. She's got like industrial music playing in the background while she's performing, and it's like she is an intimidating sumbitch.
you're I'm sure that show is amazing, but you're making me sort of like go into like a little bit of tense up a bit, because we'll play those shows with my main musical offering, the Gothsicles.
Yes.
Which has gone through a lot of evolution. Suffice it to say, it's a really nerdcore, silly, Nintendo-y industrial band, right? But we'll play with, bands we really love, like these really sexy bands, like Genitorturers or Angel Spit or something like that.
Genitorturers
so they're headlining, and there's all these people in like, and this has happened so many times. It's such a weird thing, but the idea is that the dancers will be dancing for every band, kind of there for the headliners, but will be out dancing. So just to watch these poor people, who are just these beautiful people in like latex body gear, try to make our music sound sexy. Like, yeah, I'm singing a song about getting 30 guys in Contra or River City Ransom or Lungfish or something, and people are doing like, woo, sexy dance, like trying to inject some eroticism into this song about quokkas, and it's just like not happening.
That's awesome. Well, you have been tremendous. This has been one of the funnest interviews I have done all year.
Oh, well. It's only February for the listeners, so that's right.
Well, that too.
Gotta qualify everything. Sorry.
So where do you what are you wanting to do with Space Couch? Are you wanting to continue to keep it in the genre that you're doing, or are you wanting to branch off? And because that's one of the things, like with Nagy, is that he started out where he was doing industrial bands and he was doing all this stuff and he was interviewing people that, and honestly, when he first told me about his idea, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, because he's going to be able to get people that they're not doing interviews. The whatever the hell it is in New York, Hot 98 or whatever, they're not calling your band. They're not calling the Genitorturers.
Right, and if it is, it's like a 30-second, like, hey, we're going to be at the Superdome on blah, 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 okay, right, we're back to it. And, not this sort of long-form thing that you and I get to do.
And I just think it's great. And see, like when I see his stuff and then I see your stuff, I'm like, you guys are getting people that are not getting calls, and you get to talk to them for an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. And then, like with Nagy, he's wanting to get into, now he's doing porn stars, and now he's interviewing authors, and now he's wanting to interview YouTubers. And I'm like, so what is your plans for Space Couch?
Fascinating. It's an interesting question. I'll bring it back in a second. I'll get back to there because, sort of by way of metaphor, I was working on a lot of backing videos this morning, like for my various bands.
Oh yeah.
going out on tour with Morris Black very shortly to Chicago and Madison with Gasoline and Vertebrate. That's the angry version of my music. Anyway, I was going and looking at old videos because we're also doing, Jesus, have so many. We're doing Sheffield, England in just a few weeks.
Wow.
For a festival that was canceled, and I'd made video for that, and I had to go back and modify it because a lot of the jokes in there are no longer current. But even 2 years ago, I have to change my approach to just the comedy of it because it wasn't enough to just like, for a time, you could just show a funny GIF or something
Yes.
on the screen. Like, look at this funny thing I found. Now it's like, well, anybody can do that. I could see that the novelty of just a little bit of production is worn off, so you got to get more and more and more. Where it's going with that. And at the start of Space Couch, it was just, holy shit, there's Brian and Steven on my YouTube feed, just as or your Facebook feed even, as I'm just scrolling down, I'm seeing Brian interview Mary from Helix or whatever.
Awesome.
It's just the novelty of the product was enough. And now the bloom is off that sort of novelty rose, especially in the pandemic universe.
Yeah.
So there definitely has to be a next step. I don't know that the current format is enough. I've chopped it down about 20 minutes. I think now I'm doing about 40, 45 for now. We'll see how that works out. And we'll see how this away game, as I call it, goes at Dark Side of the Con. I have had guests in the studio, i.e. my apartment, before.
Oh, yeah. That's thing here,
okay.
yeah.
I almost prefer Skype more because you have a little bit more control over the environment, but we'll see where that goes. I don't know. I would like... something's got to happen, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't quite figured out the format yet. I wasn't even trying to do an interview show. I just sort of wanted to have people on and just sort of bring this idea of a shared space out into people's homes by way of the internet. And then I was sort of like, well, as long as I have deftly demolition from nausea on the screen, I might as well ask you some questions. Like the interview part kind of came after that in a weird way. I don't know, man. Like the Patreon angle is something that I thought would never happen. Like I'm never going to put my hand out. But so much great has come out of it. That I'm glad I did. And so
I think actually the fact you've done that is pretty amazing because I know a lot of people that have, including myself, that have attempted the Patreon route. And it just doesn't work. But like with you've got people who are supporting you and making it happen. And it's
I have
like
amazing people. I don't know how. Like
it's really cool.
For all my grousing in life, I one of my great shining things has been the community that has come together to help me out with Space Couch. I'm just gratitude is just like pulsing off of my face for those people. So if you're one of them, or even if you're not and you just watch the show, I can't even imagine that someone would want to spend a few minutes with my just regular speaking voice and not the gotsical scream, let alone pay money to support that habit. And it is a habit. It's kind of drug-like in a lot of ways. Like I feel kind of, I'll take a Sunday off and I'll feel like I'm missing something, like I need that fix. And I'm doing a lot of rambling because I don't have a great answer for you. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, to use that phrase again, that would lead me to believe that something will happen. There will be an evolution. And I don't know what that is. I don't think the show is quite snappy enough to take live like Bill Burr takes his podcast off.
Yes.
Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
And these sort of.
Oh, I'll tell you, we experimented, and actually it worked out pretty well. But we experimented one time where we decided to go to this recording studio or whatever in Kansas City, and they had lined up artists, and we set up all of our gear, and we did all the stuff. And I thought it was a train wreck from a production perspective. I thought the audio and the video was going to be complete worthless to me later. It looked really cool because I had all my gear. I had all the microphones. I even had Spawn show up with his turntables. we had our lights, our banners. It was really cool. But I thought, man, I was just looking at the laptop that was recording the audio, and I was looking at the webcams I'd set up, and I'm like, well, that's not really a good angle, and I'm messing with it in Manicam, and I'm just like, this is going to be completely worthless when I'm done with this. We're going to have some really cool photos, and it was a really cool experience, and I managed to have several different hosts from our network, and I'd set them up all over this recording studio in various rooms, and we had like this cavalcade thing of they would do an interview with me, and they would go in the next room, and they would go down the hallway, all that. And then I got the audio and the video, and it was fantastic. And I'm like, okay, well, that worked.
Good. Well, I hope I have as much success with my first
so I think
outing.
You'll be able to make it work. I really do.
Talking to a fascinating individual who's now in a band called Red Locust. Previously, what was his band? Reinforced before that, but famous for doing the Electronic Saviors series of compilations. His name's Jim Simonic. That's going to be a great episode. So if you are at Dark Side of the Con, check out the Space Couch. It's called a panel, but it's really just going to be us doing Space Couch at a different place than space. But we'll make it look like space. You won't even know the difference. It's going to feel like a Sheraton in Parsippany, New Jersey, but it's going to be actually space.
I love it. Well, brother, this has been fun. I definitely want to do this again.
Where'd the time go?
You're amazing, man. Just your thoughts on this whole industry, your thoughts of everything.
It's the Jiggy radio magic, that's
oh God, don't let that get around. It'll ruin your reputation.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks it's, the 4.5 lines of Coke I do before the show, and that helps. Like,
cocaine, baby.
Daddy needs his energy, but it's really the Jiggy radio magic that's flowing through my veins. That and fentanyl.
Cocaine, so much cocaine, as my ex-wife used to say. I asked her one time, we ought to move to Wichita, Kansas. And she's like, I can't move to Wichita, Kansas. And I said, why is that? She goes, cocaine, so much cocaine.
Well, look, rent doesn't pay itself.
There you go. Well, this has been fun, Brian. Thanks for doing this, my friend. Before I let you go, run it down for us one more time. How do they get your music, Space Couch, the whole 9 yards?
Here is, and I'm gonna do another lap on the fact that I do a lot of stuff, and I'm trying not to call myself a hero. I'm just sort of prepending that I'm going to forget a lot. But in my immediate memory, Space Couch happens Sundays, 3 p.m. EST at Facebook.com/Space Couch Show, also YouTube and Twitch under Space Couch Show. March 3rd, scratch that from your memory. March 11th and 12th, we will be in Chicago and Madison, respectively. Gasoline Invertebrate, my scary side project where I try to sound like God module, is opening for Human Beast Morris Black. Morris Black live will ruin your brain a little bit. Like
it'll ruin your brain a little bit.
Not like forever. Like you'll still be able to talk and stuff, but you're going to come out changed.
That's right. That's right.
we have the privilege of playing with Plagues in Chicago and Matt Fanelli's own Daddy Bear in Caustic.
Daddy
After
Bear.
that is Dark Side of the Con in New Jersey, followed by the amazing Resistance Festival in Sheffield, England. Oh my gosh, I've already
Resistance.
not Strong. Rotor Sand, I meant to say. Vanguard, Antibody, just name a band, they're going to be there. Resistance Festival is amazing. It's Straftons is coming back. Sheffield, England is beautiful. After that, we'll be doing some stuff I can't talk about yet, and then it's going to be Seattle for Stronghold. It's like a 7-day festival.
Jesus,
it's nuts!
My God, I
is headlining that. We're
wow.
sort of I can tell that my wife, who's a huge fan, that we're technically opening for Health on a different day, but you don't know that. Headline on our night will be Klute. Who I've worshipped since like high school. Like that's the thing about industrial music. Like it's weirdly weird to meet. It's weirdly easy to meet your idols. Those are the shows I have coming up. Also check me out the podcast Industrial Nerds wherever you find podcasts. Otterbat Super Chat at otterbatsuperchat.bandcamp.com.
That is awesome.
That's another podcast. Side projects. Gasoline and Vertebrate has a new album coming out March 11 on Tiger Squawk Records, which is another record label that I run. I will take this opportunity to plug Kansas City's own Science Fiction. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes, he is. Giant. There's a big Giant compilation coming out on April 1 for Dark Side of the Con. That I can't talk about too much, but hey, it's all right. Jiggy Radio exclusive. That'll be a battle compilation between us and Distortion Productions, also run by Jim Simonic. New album coming out from Cut Brain on the side project.
These names are tremendous.
And the Gothicals have a team up with Finland's Night Stop that we got super creative on and called the Nightsicles. That EP's done. We're working on cover art, but like it'll happen. It's not like big things are coming and then it never happen. Like that one's pretty much
That's
done.
right. We got a big announcement, and then nothing's ever announced.
Ever. But like Cut Brain Nightsicles done. New Gasoline done. I don't know what I'm doing with the Gothicles yet. That's way down the road. This is going to be a very side project-y year for me. Patreon.com/Gothicles. New song every month. Chiptunes are what you get usually. You find old legacy content and lots of cool, fun, exclusive stuff. You will also want to check out Tiger Squawk Digital.com, the parent company. I run that, and all sorts of other stuff. It really doesn't stop. Sanity Checks is going to come back. That's me and Planet Damage out of Budapest. That album's not that old. Check out the Sanity Checks side project. And then it's just me working full-time outside of that and trying not to die.
Well, you are tremendous. that was... You truly are busier than a goat in a hailstorm.
A goat in a hailstorm has got a lot of concerns, you know.
That's an old Frank Catolo, my buddy Frank Catolo, who often refers to himself as the Bard of Broadcasting.
Well, he gets a +1 from me for idioms.
He has a show called Catolo Chronicles, and he started saying all these weird...
He didn't call it Call of Catolo? That's just me. But
he started saying all these weird things years ago when I first met him, like goat in a hailstorm, ferret in a jello fight, you're like a blowfish in a twine factory.
I need to know what all these mean, but
all these. Well, we're gonna have you on when I have Frank here, and you'll be able to ask him.
So I am sealing my lips right now.
Well, Brian, this has been fun. Thank you for doing this, my friend, and I will be in touch. That There you go. Look at that. That's the perfect way to end it. That is the perfect way to end it. At least he keeps up the kayfabe. I love it. That is your big broadcast for this week. We will see you.